Hey there, folks. Welcome to another edition of Time About the Movies. We're wrapping up the month of October 1989. 4 movies to look at today. Let's go ahead and start with the biggest of the new releases, but like last week, it only made about $4 million, so big is not really much of a big word to use here. It's Wes Craven's Shocker.
We are here today to bear witness to the execution of Horace Pinker, whose unspeakable atrocities have horrified the people of this great state. He stands convicted of 52 counts of aggravated assault, 23 counts of armed robbery, and 37 counts of murder in the first degree. Prisoner, have any final words?
Yeah. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
I don't think he's dead. He's among you.
Now, Wes Craven brings you his greatest creation.
No more!
Shocker.
You know, earlier in the year we had the horror show, and that didn't work out so well. It's pretty much this movie, except I think this movie does its job a lot better. A lot better in the fact that I actually like this movie compared to the horror show. It's not a perfect movie per se. It's definitely a very flawed movie, but this movie at least knew what it was doing, and at least there was some fun being had with this performance by Mitch Pleggi as the killer Horace Pinker. And it's just that, like, he's having the time of his life with this movie, with this performance that he's working with here. I think he did a better job in this than the guy in the horror show did. I can't remember who the guy is right now, but it's a better performance in this movie by Mitch Pleggi than that guy in the other movie. Peter Berg, I think he's just alright in this movie. This is back when he was still an actor. He didn't become the big director that he became later on down the road, but he was alright. I'll give him credit for he did what he had to do. He did what his job deserved. He did what his job needed to be, is what I'm trying to say here. But, yeah, this was a ton of fun. This was actually a lot more fun than I expected it to be. It's not one of Wes Craven's best movies, but it is a movie that I think deserves a lot more credit than I think a lot of people give it credit for. There are some very unique situations, visuals, some fun aspects, some fun over-the-top performances in this movie that just make it stand out more. It's just a fun movie. It's just a fun movie, man. If I could find this a copy of this on physical media, I'd definitely pick it up and watch it again. It was a ton of fun watching this one. So that's my thoughts on Wes Craven's Shocker. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is The Bear.
The Bear.
Directed by John Jucamon, who also did Quest for Fire and The Name of the Rose. The Bear, this is a movie that's pretty interesting, mostly because the focus of this is just on these animals, and there's not really a whole lot of human actors in this movie. It's just the focus of the film is centered on this bear, played by Bart the Bear, and it was basically filmed entirely in Italy and Austria, with all these live animals presented on location. There's not a whole lot of dialogue. There's a very small score, and honestly, I think it works for this movie very much. I like these movies where they don't have to rely on a whole lot of dialogue, and a whole lot of music to really get into the situation here. It almost kind of reminds me of kind of a live-action Bambi in a way, except man actually appears in this and actually has small lines in this movie. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of dialogue in this movie, but what they have here is actually pretty good. I don't think a lot of people really talk about this movie a lot, but it's a movie that I think deserves a lot more credit than I think it definitely has gotten. It's definitely one of those movies that's very unique. It's very interesting. It's very simplistic. And it's just, that's the best way to describe this movie. It's very simplistic, and I think it works very well for what they're trying to go for here. If you haven't seen this movie, The Bear, I highly recommend checking it out. I think it's a well-made film that definitely deserves a lot more attention. So that's The Bear. Let's go and move on to the next movie, and that is Immediate Family.
Linda and Michael wanted a family.
I spent 2 weeks out of the month wiped out on fertility drugs. 2 weeks so depressed it didn't work.
Lucy and Sam were having one.
You don't think I'd let you give my baby to just anyone, do you?
They started out strangers. They became immediate family.
Who are you?
The parents.
Miss Moore's parents?
The baby's parents.
Glenn Close, James Woods, Mary Stuart Masterson, Kevin Dillon, immediate family. Rated PG-13.
This movie is directed by Jonathan Kaplan, whose last movie was The Accused, which won Jodie Foster the Academy Award for Best Actress the year before. He also did Project X, Heart Like a Wheel, Over the Edge, White Line Fever, just all these different movies. And for him to come off of The Accused with this maybe wasn't the best decision overall, because the movie itself here is not really all that good. I tried to give it a chance. I like the cast they have here: Glenn Close, James Woods. You have Mary Stuart Masterson and Kevin Dillon playing the couple that has this baby that Close and Woods are trying to adopt I don't know. I thought the family aspect as a whole, it surprisingly didn't work very well. These are four really good actors working with the best that they can. I just don't think there was anything there that really made this step up more than what it could have been. I mean, it's a decent film, but you could tell that they were trying to do something that maybe they could have done something more here to make it stand out on its own. But for what it is, it's just an okay movie. Had the chance to be more than an okay movie, but it is what it is. And I think because of that, it's a very mixed bag of a movie. It's not one that I'd rather watch again, but I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I saw it for these performances alone, but it's not one I'm going to put on anytime soon. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is Mark Harmon in the comedy Worth Winning.
Aaron Cooper, beautiful and exciting. Veronica Briscoe, talented and sophisticated. Eleanor Larimore, married and bored. What do these three women have in common? Meet Taylor Worth.
No woman is ever going to reject Taylor. Not that I could find her. I bet you couldn't.
A man who's about to agree
Can't be serious.
to the worst bet of all time.
You have 3 months to get engaged to 3 women, and I pick the women. I have to teach this guy a lesson.
Now, the problem isn't getting them to accept.
Will you marry me?
The problem is
I think it's up to yes. Yes.
they have.
Let's party.
I just thought I'd warn you. Things are getting a little close. Welcome to the family, son. I'm 15 minutes late for a date with somebody, and I don't even know who.
Sex.
Oh, yes, Taylor.
That's my Taylor.
That's my Taylor.
Take me, Taylor. It's her Taylor. Taylor, this better be your sister.
Mark Harmon,
This bet's going to kill me.
Worth Winning.
Where you going, Taylor?
Good things come in threes. Wives aren't one of them.
Hi, Taylor.
Well, here's a movie where the concept was just dead on arrival. I mean, you got a good cast in here. Like I said, Mark Harmon's in this movie, but you also have Madeline Stowe. You have Leslie Ann Warren, Maria Holvo. You also got Mark Bloom, Andrea Martin, Alan Blumfeld, Brad Hall, Joan Severance, David Brenner, Devin Ratray from Home Alone is in this movie. I mean, you got a good cast in here. It's just the concept and the plot here doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And the basic plot is that Mark Harmon plays a guy who's basically said, take a bet to get 3 randomly chosen women to fall in love with you and ask them to marry you. What did he think was going to happen? I mean, Mark Harmon Mark Harmon was one of the sexiest men alive at the time of this release. You don't think women are going to look at this guy and be like, "Oh yeah, I'll marry you right on the spot"? It's just like, it's a concept that maybe could have worked if the script had been better written, but I don't know. And this direction, and the director of this, Will Mackenzie, who, as far as I know, hasn't really done a whole lot notable about this. Mostly he did work in television. He did directed episodes of the Bob Newhart Show, Bosom Buddies, Everybody Loves Raymond, Scrubs, all these different TV shows from all these different over the last 40 years. This is I believe his only feature directorial effort. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But he basically directs this movie like it is a TV show, and I mean, maybe as a TV show it could work because you have more episodes to work with, but at a movie that's about over 100 minutes long, it just really doesn't make the cut for me. I mean, like I said, great cast, but the concept, the story, it just doesn't work. And the direction, again, doesn't really work all that well. This is a forgettable movie. It was very forgettable. It came and went. And, yeah, I got nothing else to say. This Worth Winning is not worth the watch. Simple as that. And with that said, that's going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We jump into November next time around. We've got Second Sight, starring John Larroquette and Bronson Pinchot, both of who were very successful on Night Court and Perfect Strangers at the time. So, why have you never heard of this movie? Well, there's probably a good reason, and we'll delve into that next time. We've also got Robert Englund's The Phantom of the Opera. That's a thing that apparently exists, and we'll delve into that as well. We'll also look at After Midnight, For All Mankind, and Bloodhounds of Broadway as we jump into November. And we come about 2 months away from wrapping up 89 as a whole. So, thank you guys for watching. And as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next episode. So, until then, take care.